What resources do I use to write and study the books I publish on Amazon? Is one of the most often queries I field. And specifically, which tools do I use for keyword research? In order to address that, I'll list the top 5 KDP keyword research tools that I often utilize in my research for my novels. What is the purpose of keyword research now? The keyword is simply the search term that consumers type into search bar when they're looking for anything to buy. So the first benefit is that it helps us figure out what people are actually shopping for on Amazon. So, we'd like to ascertain its true nature. Next, we perform keyword research to determine how competitive a certain keyword is. For example, are many other publishers releasing the identical book that we intend to publish ourselves? Next, we may utilize it to examine a specific keyword's popularity. As a result, ascertain how frequently searched terms are used. Ultimately, conducting keyword research saves us a great deal of time compared to simply producing a book and experimenting to see what might or not might sell. It helps provide us with that intelligence and knowledge in the first place and save us a great deal of time wasting it tinkering with books that will never sell. I'm going to work my way up to the more sophisticated tools by starting with the simpler ones that now I use for keyword research. Now, by more complex, I simply mean that we have access to more data thanks to these tools. I do not advise you to purchase or subscribe to all 5 tools at once, though. I usually advise starting with more basic tools and gradually working your way up as you get expertise and start earning money, which you can then use to purchase some of these products. This is especially true if you're just starting out. Now, let's get started. To be honest, the first tool I really utilized isn't even a tool at all, which may surprise some people. In reality, it's Amazon itself. But if we know where to look, Amazon can provide us with a wealth of useful information. Therefore, the first place we examine is the Amazon search bar, where we type in a vague term like adult coloring book that someone would be looking for. And these are all the recommendations that Amazon has provided, and there are 2 reasons these are helpful. In the first place, Amazon provides us with insight into what people are genuinely looking for. Secondly, users are likely to click on those recommendations, particularly those that are closest to the top. What we can do now is write down these suggestions in a spreadsheet as soon as we receive them, and then begin entering them into the search field as well. You'll notice that we begin to even out. For example, if we put in for women, additional recommendations. As a result, we are now gaining more understanding of what individuals are looking for in order to compile a list of these recommendations. However, the fact that we can see the quantity of search results by clicking the search button on the upper left corner of Amazon is another noteworthy feature, and it reads 30,000 here. That is quite a bit. It indicates that there is fierce rivalry for this specific search keyword. Therefore, you might not want to use it or might think about using it if you were going to run advertisements. I've now created films that show you how I conduct keyword research, specifically using this method. I've included a link to them below. And if you're just getting started, this specific tool, which uses Amazon, is great since it can provide you with a wealth of knowledge and insight into what consumers are looking for. In the beginning, I didn't conduct any keyword research at all, even though I had done a lot of it and creating websites in the past. Additionally, I used to watch videos in which individuals say things like, "Oh, you know, that's the first thing I do." And I'm thinking, really? What are you doing? It's not completely clear to me. And it took a lot of effort and killing time for me to realize how crucial conducting keyword research is. Consequently, the next tool I employ is a Chrome plugin called AMZ Search Suggestion Expander. This is a free plugin that accomplishes the following. It provides us with all these additional ideas, which are also search phrases that users are entering into Amazon's search box. Therefore, it can save us time instead of having to go through every recommendation that Amazon provides, and it can also provide us with a much larger list of search terms and keywords. It simply means that we can create a spreadsheet that is significantly larger. The major reason I think this is helpful is that you can click on the Download Keywords button to get a spreadsheet of these keywords, which provides us with this information. The application is now completely free for all users. This is just helpful to know because it can give a term some extra strength and indicate that it is a popular keyword if you notice that it receives a lot of Google searches each month. Thus, we're able to obtain this list of every keyword that users are looking for on Amazon. Additionally, selecting Show Suggested Keyword Value only exposes the research and overview page for that specific keyword. Therefore, if you're looking at the quantity of search results, it can save you some time. Thus, I think this little time saver is really helpful. You have the option to download every keyword. Currently, Keywords Everywhere is a Chrome plugin that I also use as my second tool. This isn't finished yet. 100,000 search credits are available for $1 each month, or I believe you can just get the $12 invoiced annually. This is a free tool. Furthermore, these credits seem to go on for a very long time. I have to admit that I haven't really given these other features much thought, but they are here, and if we click on the plugin, we can see that I currently have 1,284 credits remaining. However, this tool provides us with this information when we enter a search keyword in the search bar, the approximate monthly number of searches on Google, and the cost per click for that keyword's advertisement on Google. The competition ranking is shown here. 1 appears to be the highest value, and it appears to progress from 0 to 1. Additionally, if we hover over this graph, a short table with an estimate of the monthly Google search volume for each of the last 12 months appears. Alright, so now we move on to the more sophisticated tools that provide us with a little bit more information. One piece of information that is quite helpful is the actual number of times a specific term is searched for on Amazon each month. Consequently, you will need to pay for a tool or a piece of software in order to obtain this information, and Publisher Rocket will be the first one we examine. It's a one-time purchase, but it's not free. At $97, there isn't a subscription required. Additionally, I appreciate that you aren't overloaded with information when using this specific tool. Although there are other features available, such as a category search competitiveness analyzer, the keyword search is the one that interests us. Thus, if we just type in adult coloring book hit go get rocket, we'll see that a list of search terms or keywords appears. By clicking on these magnifying glasses, we can obtain further details. For books in these specific sectors, this provides us with helpful information such as the average amount of pages in a book, the number of rivals, and the average monthly earnings. However, the anticipated monthly searches on Amazon are the part of this information that interests me. It is possible to obtain a reliable estimate of a keyword's popularity rather than merely depending on the number of Google searches that occur each month, which is a somewhat indirect method. And based on that, as well as the quantity of rivals. Additionally, this tool will provide a competitive score, where 100 represents the highest level of competition. In light of this, I believe the one-time cost to obtain this data on Amazon searches is quite worthwhile in terms of this tool. We now have the fifth and last tool, which is most likely the tool. That is Helium 10, and that will provide us with the most knowledge of all. You may access all these features with this program, which is available as a subscription. The three primary tools I utilize are the Keyword Tracker tool, Cerebro, Magnet, and these ones here, which I'll explain to you in a bit. That keeps track of how well my books rank for specific keywords. It's quite helpful because you can see how adjustments you make to your books, such as changing the interior cover or the keywords, affect how well your books rank. Although this tool isn't free, it's subscription software. You can still obtain access to the crucial keyword research tools by purchasing the beginner package, which costs $29 a month and grants you more restricted access. Although I presently have a platinum subscription, if I were just getting started, I would just get the starter. Thus, the Magnet Keyword Research tool is available here. Let's enter the adult coloring book once more and obtain keywords. Now, this tool provides us with a ton of additional keywords, which may or may not be beneficial based on where you are in your publishing career. However, as you can see, we have 7,632 terms for this particular keyword. And for that reason, it provides us with the crucial information that these kinds of instruments require. And on Amazon, that is the volume of searches. Additionally, it provides us with the Magnet IQ score, basically the competition score. Additionally, you can use these specific keywords in your 7 keyword boxes when you upload your book to the KDP platform, because you know that they are well-liked terms that people are actually searching for in relation to the adult coloring book keyword. This word frequency box is also helpful for filling out the 7 keyword boxes. Thus, my first piece of advice is to keep things simple, especially if you are just starting out in the publishing industry. Start with the standard Amazon search bar and perhaps add keywords or AMZ Search Suggestion Expander by EcomStal to it all. I would suggest against comparing the figures that each keyword tool provides. Hence, you might discover that there are 60,000 searches for adult coloring books each month according to AMZ's Search Suggestion Expander. According to Publisher Rocket, there are 30,000 searches made each month. People start approaching me with the comment, "Oh yeah, one says this, one says the other. What is true in reality?" Well, from the algorithm they're using, they're probably both right, but instead of comparing the two figures, I would advise comparing the figures within a specific tool. That seems much more practical to me. Thus, make things simple. Buying all those tools at once is not something I would advise. As you gain experience and begin to make more money, work your way up. I advise you to start with my book tutorials playlist here if you're new to this KDP low-content book publishing business. In it, I walk you through every step of writing and releasing your first book on Amazon. I hope that was helpful to you. I sincerely appreciate your time. It is greatly valued. And farewell until the next time.